You know, want to hear how are you all? I was just thinking about something. It just gets on my nerves sometimes when I see young women with one or two children complaining about they can't do it. It just irks me. I raised 8 children, 6 girls and 2 boys. The secret to me raising my children, I never complained about it. We want the kids, and then you spend all your time complaining about it. I was a military wife, and with my first husband for 20 years. Um, so he was always gone. Basically, I raised the kids by myself. He would come home and maybe stay for a month, and then he was gone again. Um, he retired as a senior master sergeant in the Air Force. I had a schedule early on with my kids. He wanted 10 kids. I was like, well, who's going to give birth to all these 10 kids? But we did get to 4. Um, that was my first set of kids, my oldest set of kids. I have 2 sets of kids. Uh, I have kids from the first time I was married. Then I got married again about 24 years later or something. I forget anyway. Um, but my secret to raising kids was as a military wife, I had to be on a schedule because my husband was on a schedule. He had to get up 4 o'clock in the morning, get ready to hit the air base, and I got up to make his breakfast, send him off with a good breakfast, and all that kind of thing. So I was a schedule. I have never ever had an alarm clock ring in my house. It was just in me. I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning cooking breakfast, and so I was on a schedule. Then once I started having children, um, I had them on schedules as babies. My kids, as they grew from kindergarten up to high school, they were in the bed every night during school year at 8:30. They come home from school, do their homework, then they could spend their time doing whatever they want until dinner time, and then by 8:30 they were bathed and in the bed. They didn't have to go to sleep. If they didn't want to, they each had their own rooms. Um, Upstairs from mine, our kids always lived on another floor from us so that we could have complete privacy. Even with my second husband, it was the same way. The kids lived on a different floor. Um, so I learned very early on about scheduling and having children. They had their little things, they got sick and all this other kind of thing. But I was never really overwhelmed with my children. I enjoyed them. They didn't have babysitters. I took care of my kids. They might have gone to the babysitter maybe a couple times when my husband and I went out for a night on the town or something like that. And one time I think I left them to go to somewhere we went, me and my husband. Anyway, I was with my kids all the time. And so when I hear women complaining, I just look at them. You got time to go sit in a chair and let somebody braid your hair for 12 hours. You go to the nail salon with all that noise and stuff. You go to your job but you complain all the time about these little 2 feet tall people in your house. Should be your joy to raise your children. I enjoyed raising my children, but I still had to have a time for myself to decompress. So that time was 8:30 once they were going to bed or to their rooms or whatever. On the weekends they could stay up if they wanted, as long as they didn't bother me. Um, but once my children were in bed, that was my time to bask in the bubble bath and do my nails and my hair, whatever I wanted to do, because I ran my house on a schedule. No problems. On Friday evenings, my kids, um, they knew how allowance was going to go. Don't ask me about allowance. That was something automatically. I assigned each one of my kids a chore. As long as your chore was done by uh, early Saturday morning, you could come at me with your hand out, and I'm just gonna put it in your hand. Back then, allowance wasn't that much, but anyway, um, they did their chores. I never had to argue with my children about no chores. They did it because they knew if their chore, and basically they were always done with all their chores by Friday evening. Because on Saturdays we lived in the Beverly Hills area of Chicago, near Evergreen Plaza, where all the kids hung out, all races of kids. They had a game room there. Kids would ride their bikes. This was a different day and time. They would ride their bikes, and sometimes my kids would pack a lunch. They would have peanut butter sandwiches, excuse me, and lemonade. They could stay there all day if they wanted, as long as they came home by the time the streetlights were on. So if you have some kind of discipline for yourself and routines for your children, make your life easy. Stop complaining. Just make your life easy. Bye, loves.